Hi folks, welcome to English 261 Week 4. This week's lecture is going to be broken up across two sections. In the first one I'm going to talk about the critique process you'll be doing when you go to critique poetry projects 2 and 3. The next lecture I'll discuss, which should post tomorrow or the day after, I'll discuss restoration poetry, which is the poems you read for this week. And also I'll talk about what we'll be writing, the next form we'll be writing, which is the haiku, which is similar to the tanka but much tighter. So what we're going to do, and one of the things we'll be doing in class throughout the semester, is you're going to be critiquing other people's poetry, the same way we did writing workshops in English 205. So it's going to be a little bit more simple than the ones in English 205. We'll be doing them more regularly, but you are going to be revising poetry to turn into me. So I've given you some steps for this, and I think they're similar to the steps I gave you before, but in case you didn't take English 205 with me, or in case you might have forgotten the procedure, let me tell you, just kind of go over it here with you now. So the first thing you need to do is you're going to need to read the poem multiple times. I'm going to give each of you probably 2 other classmates' poems to read for each of these poems. It's not going to be a whole heck of a lot of work. It's just going to be enough to kind of give you someone else to look at your work and get someone else to look at yours. So I'll give you 2 partners who will read for you. You'll get 2 people to read for you. You'll read for 2 people, etc., etc., etc. But read the poem multiple times. So then read for its content, and then read for formal aspects. So check the meter, syllable, rhythm, verse, etc. And then also read it for simple enjoyment. Is there something you're getting out of it? Or is something you're enjoying about it? So you really want to make an effort to understand the poem. And if it's metrical poetry, it's not so much a matter of getting it right. It's a matter of are they working in the poem, the format effectively, and if there are variations, do they make sense? So understand that it's your job to help the poet is the next thing. This isn't your chance to demand something entirely different because it doesn't like you. It's not something you particularly like. So help them make their poem more effective and compelling. So for example, if they are, if you don't happen to like epic poetry about big darn heroes or big damn heroes, then, and that's what the person's writing about, unless there is some egregious reason why it's not appropriate, such as it's gross or it's really inappropriate to other people, or it's insulting or denigrating to someone else. For the most part, there's no reason to say, oh, I don't like this poem because I don't like big damn heroes. That's not okay. You can't really just kind of kick it away in that regard. So what you're trying to do is you're trying to be the best possible reader for this particular poet. So think about what the idealized reader for something that was about a big damn hero would be, and then try and be that reader for them. All right, so it's your job to help the poet express themselves more effectively. It's not your job to tell the poet to do something else because you don't like what they're doing. The next thing is use the comment feature in the peer review system to make specific comments in the poem. You all have the option to make little comments. If you click on comment at the top of the peer review system, you can actually make line comments on their poetry. I expect you to do that because poetry is all about individual words. It's about lines. If you notice things you like, if you notice things that seem a little off, ask questions and use the comment feature for that. The last thing is provide at least a paragraph of commentary in the poem. So that's kind of where you give your overall review of it, or your overall thoughts on it, or your overall suggestions for improving it. 100 words is about the minimum. 250 is probably the maximum for any given poem. So you can also record your response. You'll notice I do that, which is you can make an audio comment where this kind of gives that. And that's a really good way to do it and kind of save yourself some writing if you don't want to type, but that's completely fine with me. And those should be posted as a comment on the side, like when you make the comments in someone else's work. Last thing, at least, keep it civil, keep it constructive, and be decent to one another. And if you don't do that, if you are needlessly cruel or rude to someone and I hear about it, I'll deal with you. So that's really not what you want. Let's keep it decent. Let's keep it civil. We're here to help each other. Nobody is perfect. Everyone struggles. And everyone is trying to get better. And that's our job, is to help each other out in that regard. So it's a fairly simple process. You'll have a couple to do this week, and you can probably extend a little bit next week if you need to. I'll assign those a little bit later today, which is Monday, so you should be getting that soon. But it's a very simple process. It's just kind of the critiques we do as usual and throughout workshop classes. And we'll be doing those for the main poetry projects as we go. All right? Okay, so that's the first little bitty lecture I wanted to give you this week, just so I can get you started on this part of the process. I'll be back tomorrow with more about restoration poetry and haiku. But if you have any questions or concerns, let me know. Otherwise, take care, be well, keep on writing, and keep on reading.